So the entire roof needs to be replaced. This part here, it's been covered up with paper, has been the worst. That's what was leaking badly. And obviously this has been leaking at times. You can see where he had rolled roofing tar all over it. So that's why it is so dark. So this portion of the roof here is the only like really steep part that is a little bit treacherous. Everything else, you know, this back part is the same angle, but it comes down to this part of the roof, which is really flat. So it's pretty easy to walk around on, not too scary. Just have to be cautious of the edges. My ladders come up to there, and then I'll be tossing the shingles down to the trailer and hauling them off. So I'm going to try to get this portion of the roof removed today. I've got pretty much, we got three or 4 days before it's going to rain. So I'm going to try to get all this dried in, which means pull this off, put new sheathing, and then black paper down. And then I'll have a roofer put the actual shingles down.
Get these nasty shingles off.
Bigger body too, aren't they? Oh, only 20 feet apart. Of that wood.
You're going to give us a trial run.
Sweetie. Sweetie, I can't watch.
Here on the roof, it's not as simple as just nailing down some new sheathing. Some repairs do need to be made. On this side of the roof, the fascia board is completely rotten out, so this right here, that's the fascia board, and then the soffit is the horizontal part right there. So when you look up, what you see is the soffit, and then the fascia is the part that the gutter is nailed to. So this board, you can see it's missing right there. It's completely rotten out. So once I kind of exposed it, I was basically just knocked it and it just fell. That's the fascia board, so it's completely rotten. It's rotten to about right here badly, to about here it's soft, and by the time you're here it's solid. So I could just trim it and then extend it on, but the ends of the rafters are rotten, so I need to cut little extensions with 2x4s, and then to get that angle, this is a T-bevel, so this is just how you can find an angle. It doesn't actually matter what the angle is, because I'm just going to set it to the angle, and then I can use this to make marks on the 2x4s and a miter saw to cut them. So I could just replace it to right here, slipping it behind this. This is aluminum wrapped, and then the gutter is attached through the aluminum wrapping. So I could just slide it down in there and attach it somehow. But I think what I'm actually going to do, because this is all screwed up, it's nailed out all low over here. I don't know what they've been doing, you know, what's going on with this thing. So I think I might detach this gutter, lay it up here, detach the aluminum wrapping, lay that up here, and then knock that fascia off, do my extensions I need, nail on a new fascia board, and then reattach the aluminum wrapping and then that gutter. I think that's the best thing to do, but that's the worst thing to have to do. I've got a bunch of crap is all down in there on top of the soffit too, so by detaching it all that'll fall loose. I might just put in a new soffit. Right now it's got solid aluminum. I may come back in with some vinyl, the perforated kind that's for venting, because I will need to vent the roof itself. I'm putting in those roof vents, the plastic ones that run up since it's a vaulted ceiling, and then the insulation, so it's not going to be an attic space here. You're just going to have the bays between the rafters. But that's that. We'll see what we do. Before, this whole area right here, the sheathing came down, went up. This rafter was rotted off. It would have come to here. So I've scabbed on this extra little tail to get out to here, and then I'm cutting this custom piece that will kind of close this off. This was all open. It was full of wasp nests and birds' nests. So this piece right here, I just cut it with the jigsaw, and why I did it so short instead of cutting it on the end of a rafter tail, because I'm working alone. It's a funny piece to get fit, so it's a lot easier to deal with a small piece, so that one will get attached. And then from here I'll run longer boards to make up that fascia. So when I'm popping these on, I'll take another little piece, I'll run it out like that, and then I pulled the fascia board up to it, and that makes sure if you just put the edge that's mated with the end of this rafter tail up, that kind of kicks it up at the end. So this allows it to where when the sheathing goes out, it lands right on the leading edge where the gutter will attach. So this piece will be a little tricky to nail on here, but I will do my best. So now this little triangular piece that I kind of had to notch around the edge of the roof, this will, that closes off this gap. Then the sheathing will come right down this valley and meet with it, so this will be closed off. And then of course I'm going to get in there and have to do some sort of trimming to seal it off as well.
Are you going to keep up with that, or you want me to hold it?
Actually I'd rather... You think you remember? One final look before I hang it up. So I'm pretty much done with the main part of the roof. There's just a little piece I need to fill in right here, and then I'll move on to this section of the roof there, and then the part that faces the front of the house. So we're all sheathed in, and the reason for doing this is just to it kind of strengthens the roof a little bit. Plywood strong versus just the boards. There's some different soft spots on some of the boards, so this just floats over those. So I've got an inch plus the half-inch OSB, so it's basically an 1.5 inch thick roof. And the biggest reason was the OSB will be a great nailing surface for the shingles. And yes, I know that it's blurry on the screen right now, but this camera can't hold focus in the low light. All the OSB is down. Next up, I have to put the tar paper down, and the shingles go on top of that. I've got about an hour or two before it's supposed to start raining, so I really need to hurry up. So I'm going to film this next step in a very limited manner. So there's the valleys, all new sheathing, again on top of the old sheathing. So for everybody, it's always harping on calling OSB particle board. If your roof is leaking, it's leaking. Doesn't matter what's in it, it's going to mess stuff up. It's what's on top of the sheathing that matters. it started drizzling just a little bit, and I got afraid. I needed to work pretty quick. I didn't want to start pouring down rain. So I've got pretty much all of it done. I've got just that little part on the main part of the roof for the front of the house. But all of it's nailed down. I have never put paper down, done any kind of roofing on a roof that's kind of complex, meaning all I've done is roof goes up one side, down the other. This has valleys and stuff. I've done repair work on roofs, but I never started all the way from the beginning. So I was a little confused about how to kind of put the actual paper down, but I think I've got it figured out, and I just kind of overdid it is what I ended up doing in the end. But let me go ahead, get the rest of this paper nailed down. I'll probably get the drip edge on, finish the drip edge that goes on top of the paper, that goes on the rake boards, and then I need to get to work on this video. I'm going to try to get it posted tomorrow.
Anything, you don't have to cook a steak. So here's what's got to do. We're not going to factor these, but I can control the situation a little better. Also, fulfilling why I switched this, I mentioned really like my keeper to be successful or happy at anything or in your life. Or someone else interested in camping, and this is a good position. Same with the last guy. Life and wildlife and sort of set up camp for sustainability and self-reliance, which is more recent. Malcolm Gladwell is actually reading those two books to get an understanding of people and what creates success and successful people, or what how would an understanding people. A lot of these things I find this book's kind of follow. I would go back as far as Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and back to the question. Company or project that you've earned enough money to either invest or save or we're done. Invest in it.
Well, that is all I am able to get done today, and I hit my goal of, before this house got poured down on, to get the rear part dried in. So doing this is going to bring up the topic of why not pay somebody to do this part. And one of the reasons is a lot of roofing stuff. I hear about people having their roofs redone, and the prices are, I think, huge. I hear, you know, $8,000 and stuff like that just to have semi-average houses done, and that's probably not even including doing any kind of repair work, doing something like the sheathing. So there's two different types of people I think that you're going to get to do a job like this. It's going to be the one that gives you an outrageous price, and then there's just going to be somebody who's probably just so goofy you don't want to fool with them, because this type of work and all that OSB up here, any kind of a small guy's probably going to get the OSB up here the same way I did. I guess you could probably buy it from a distributor that can bring it to the house and boom it up onto the roof. But I bought the OSB probably over a month ago. It was going to be some big hurricane, and I thought in my head, I was like, OSB's price is going to jump way up. So I bought it at like $670 to $680 something per sheet, and the highest I've seen OSB is almost $20, about $17 or $18. So it was when Texas had that big, the Gulf, I guess it was a hurricane or something happened. It flooded a lot of stuff down there. So I thought that that was going to happen, so I just went ahead and bought it while it was still cheap. And right now it's $1 more per sheet, but I bought a bunch of it, so I guess really I probably only saved like $30 or $40. I don't know how many sheets I bought exactly, but I thought it could jump up maybe $10 or something, so I didn't want that to happen to me. At the same time, as much as I'd rather probably not be doing all this type of work and just be, just getting rent on the house and it just be done, I do like doing this type of stuff. It is enjoyable. I'm up on a roof all day long. You can probably see in the video there's just deer just running around like I'm inside some sort of a zoo. There's just piles of them here. There's a buck. It's just been chasing all the does around like a madman. There's all kinds of cool stuff. It's just good views. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see the pictures sun setting each night. Tonight is not too wild looking because it's so overcast, but you're kind of off on a ridge here, and so you see some really cool sunsets looking off that way. So I do enjoy doing this. No one's telling me what to do while I'm up here. I just do my work, film my videos, post the videos. My videos make money. So that's sort of, part of my income. And then once this house is done, I own a house. It's completely fixed up and bringing in $600, $700, $800 to $1,000, depending on which house it is. And then I do it again. And so each one of these houses, this house will probably rent for $750, $800 is my guess, but I'm just guessing. So what is 8 times 12 is 96. So I don't know how much it's going to rent for. So maybe $9,600 a year. So almost $10,000 a year increase in income once I get this house done. And I'm on kind of a 1 or 2 houses a year pace. And I would like to increase that pace, but at the same time, I'm only on that pace because I'm buying houses so cheap. I have enough money to buy nicer houses, but I like to reserve my money. I don't like to just dump all my money on stuff. I think that's kind of a... I just don't like doing it. I think when you dump all your money on stuff, it's kind of assuming that nothing bad can happen, and I like to assume that bad things can happen because they do happen. And I'm just referring to having a security fund. And another thing to kind of keep in mind is, what position you are in life. I'm in a position where I'm married and have a child, so I have you have to adjust what kind of risk you can expose yourself to, depending on, what your full situation is. What's right for me is not right for the next guy, even if that guy looks very similar to me. He has to adjust things to his situation. I own, one of my houses has a mortgage on it. It was more than all my other houses combined, so I got a mortgage on that one. That's the only house I have a mortgage on. Everything else, including the house I live in, I own cash. That other house, renting that house out pays for itself. And so I don't really have that many costs that I just have to take or swallow. I mean, there's the normal stuff that everyone has, like your bills and your all that kind of stuff, buying gas. But other than that, I don't have a bunch of stuff that I'm paying for. I do everything with cash, and I like to take a patient approach. And I think patient catches up with you're in a hurry. I guess that's the rabbit and the hare story. I mean, sorry, rabbits and hares are roughly the same thing. The hare and the turtle, or whatever it is, the little story about the turtle just kind of just keeps on going, and the other one bolts off, but then you see what happens in the end. And I've heard that advice from a lot of people who in their younger years were really aggressive, always trying to aim at the high risk, big money, and they just said if they would have just stuck to it and just done the safe stuff and stuck to it, they would have been way better off. Even though they did have some success in that fast, big money, it was exciting, and so it was more going after that excitement than going after that end result. So I do a little bit of both. I've gone after fast, bigger money, and I've had it happen, and it was really cool. But then at the same time, I do stuff like this where it's a big project. I just take it on, just work on it, and if you look into the comments, you see how many people give me grief over the type of stuff that I do. But some of the same people were saying that to me back, years ago. And this is also people in my real life, that say things to me, and they go, why do you do this? Why do you do that? This is a bad way to go. And those people have either stayed the same, or it's gotten worse for them because their income or their potential hasn't gone up any. but their responsibility levels have. I'm not saying that to say I'm right or wrong, but I think it comes down to, and I've said this before and people liked it, is to just quit poking holes in everything. Poking holes in stuff's just a way to make yourself feel better about what you are doing or are not doing. And you could trust me when I say I'm my own toughest critic. I look at everything I'm doing and I know all my faults. I give myself a tough time about them all the time. And sometimes too much, and then sometimes I think it's an appropriate thing to constantly kind of evaluate yourself. And because evaluating yourself isn't just to find out what's wrong with you, but it's to just see that and go, you know what, I've done that enough times. I know what the result's going to be. Every time I do that, I say I should have done this. This time I'm not doing it again. In my situation, I'm kind of convinced I should have tried to find somebody to do this roof, but I think up until this portion, it's best that I do it. The worst part about this roof is being up here. It's dangerous. I try to be as safe as I can, but in the end, it's still 30 feet up on this top of the ridge. It's really tall. You'd be a real good chance you die if you fell off this roof. I'm comfortable being up on tall stuff, but I am scared of falling off stuff, but at a normal level. So I'm getting off topic. I'm wandering, but sometimes I like that. I like it when I watch people's videos that do stuff that I enjoy watching and want to do myself, and then afterwards you kind of hear them just kind of wander off talking about some things because it kind of clues you into what their mindset is. So many people focus on results, the result of what somebody does or the action of what somebody's doing, but they're not thinking of everything else that's involved that kind of makes that person who they are, and then what it is they're actually doing and the results that they create. So I think that's it. If you're still watching this, thank you. And if you are new or don't know or just haven't gone and checked it out yet, I have written a book on how I find these houses. It's called Cheap Houses, How I Find and Buy Inexpensive Real Estate, something like that. It's been a while since I wrote it, but it does very well. A lot of people like it. I sell it on Amazon and then on my website as a PDF. So check it out. What else? Check the link in the links in the description. A lot of times after a video, I always forget to say stuff, so I'd always kind of go and put things down there. So I'll have an Amazon link as well down there. That is a link that if you go buy stuff, I get a commission off of what you buy. It doesn't cost you anything extra. Check out my other YouTube channels. I'm going to list them all, tell you what each one is. The Homestead Craftsman, that's the first one I ever started, and that is making furniture, woodworking. I just posted a video on there the other day of my basement, my shop, trying to get it cleaned up, making 2 tables, and a lot of other projects on there as well. Then I have another one called Square Inch. That's where I started building a tiny house, which I'll be back on that project and posting those videos. I may kind of post those videos to both channels, different edits on both channels, some on this one and some on that one. And then I have the one that I recently started called Launchpad, and I will be back on that. I've been getting a lot of people asking me why I haven't posted videos there, so I'll be posting videos on there hopefully soon. I'm trying to stay full throttle on this house, get this done. Then I want to finish my tiny house, get that set up, and have my kind of winter time, spring, just from then on out, kind of little local vacation spot that I can go to, weekend hangout, place to go with the family, place to go on my own, just whatever it is I want to do. I just want that place set up. It'll be a second shop for working on just projects that I work on when I work on, nothing that's I'm in a hurry on. So I've always wanted that. I want to restore my Jeep. I'd really like to get that set up to where next fall I can have the Jeep, the trailer, and I want to do a little camper insert and go camping with that with my family, because we did a lot of, well, not a whole lot, but a lot for having a teeny tiny family with a baby. Went camping this year, and that was extremely fun, and had a really nice time doing that. Different type of camping than I've done in the past, where you're doing something more adventurous, I guess, but it is a really cool thing, and it's neat because I did that when I was little, and it's just kind of weird to be doing it now with my own family, but it is extremely nice. So I think that's it. Yep. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.